Oh, came on just as I was about to sneeze. Welcome, welcome, welcome to another episode of Stuff You Didn't Know You Needed to Know. What's that saying? You don't know what you don't know until you know what you don't know? I don't know. Anyways, come on down to Knowledge Central. We're going to do stuff. Come on.
I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something. Hey, I think you're really cool. I like you a lot. Maybe we can hang out or something.
Well, thanks for sticking. Coming to the next episode, you will see that these are repurposed gym apparati or accoutrement or bench press stands. Today, they're going to be kayak stands. And because they're metal, I have thoughtfully found a couple of volunteer, well, I was trying to zoom back out a little bit. Guess it ain't gonna let me. A couple Mexican blankets that I bought at the truck stop for $16.99 for two. And I keep them in the back of the Subaru to, like, if I ever fall out of my kayak, or to cover stuff up when I buy it from Facebook Marketplace, like a bunch of tripods, or weightlifting stands, or a two-tier bicycle stand. What do I need it for? Do you see a bicycle? No. What did I need it? I don't know, but I had to have it, so I bought it. So, back to this. I was out on this beast last week and broke my steering. So, I am going to skillfully back this into the garage so it's a little bit more bearable than out in the sun. I'm going to yank this sucker out here and or yank it off of there onto the stand, because I've got to access that plate, got to get rid of the wheels, got to get rid of the crate, and I need to be able to access my third or fourth elbow to get into that hatch, to get to those screws or those screws. There's pulleys here and a pulley there, and right here is a disc that right below that is the rudder. So let me pause this sucker and see if I can't get this lined up and yanked off the trailer. I don't think I want to videotape this because there's probably going to be some vulgarity involved. Okay, I was correct. There was profanity involved. And it is indeed on the stands. While it's tilted sideways a little, it's listing. It is good enough. Now, if I was actually going to use for any length of time those stands to put the kayak on, I would obviously get a bigger, wider piece of metal and fashion some actual cradles and probably some runners in between them, put some wheels on it so it'll roll around a little. And it'd be kind of I'd be the happening dude. But because I store it on the trailer, um, that's not going to happen today. So let me get some tools out or start ripping some of the stuff off of here. The last video I did, somehow or another, gratefully, my whole head was cut out of the video. Let me see if I can get this more. We're going to call this the garbage can shot. See if it'll actually pick up all this mayhem and brouhaha. I obviously store my wheels on the back of the kayak, and with bungee cord that's pretty much clapped out by now. I don't think this has been off of the kayak except for once since I put it on. And hopefully I can just pull. There's 4 straps, one on each corner. I'll be holding this sucker on, and I'm going to see if I can't just, there we go. That'll work. That'll get me where I need to go. Sorry about the dead air. I was pondering the next move. I was thinking, well, why don't I just get the drill out and screws going into poly? Yeah, that's probably a bad idea. So Phillips head screwdriver to get to this access plate. Now the unfortunate thing about all this is I don't know what type of cable this takes. So if it gets beyond my expertise, which, oh yeah, by the way, we're already beyond my expertise. I'll just go somewhere else. Oh. So what it would appear is it's snapped on this side right here. I don't know why it is, but it seems like the port side of the Hobie PAs, somewhere in this area right here is where it broke. And I'll show you. Okay, this is the skeg, so I don't want to mess with that. Transducer, it's labeled to be helpful. Okay, you can see that the rudder is still there. Hey, go to these people if you need a kayak. Great people. Okay, Nigel and I believe his wife is his partner. Great people. That's where I got this from. So the rudder is there, and it's one of the bigger and larger rudders. What had happened is, you can see when I turn the handle, nothing is happening. Okay. But they're still connected to each other. Now, because this is offering no resistance, I could turn that way, but I couldn't control it from being pushed back the other way. Okay, so that's that. So I need to open that hatch, reach in here, or drop these two screws, grab the pulley, and then we've got to figure out how we're going to re-tie this and fix it. Okay, so again, going on faith that this microphone, this bastard, is playing nice. This is where it broke, coming through this. It's identical to that grommet right there. And it wraps around, comes up through this hole, and you got to tie it around twice around this screw and snub it down. And you tie it in a bow. It comes through here into this pulley, and there's the piece that broke. Okay? So, two things to bear in mind. When you put this back inside, okay, I didn't take this screw completely out. Oh yeah, I did. You'll notice that it's longer. It goes all the way into this front hole, and there's a nut fixed into it there. And there's a nut fixed into the pulley assembly there in the bottom. This one goes in this hole. This one goes into that hole. Okay? So what I'm going to do, regretfully, is probably pull forward with the car, drop the trailer, leave it here, go to Ace and buy some cord, and what I'm going to attempt to do is feed the cord in here, pull it in, tie it off to this, okay, and then restring it and wrap it around and tie it again, okay. So that's the plan. Stan. It's not really a bad fix, and to tell you the truth, what I ought to do is take it over to Savannah Canoe and Kayak and just have them restring the whole thing. But I think it's that's really unnecessary. So yeah, there's a pulley in both sides so that each handle, when they cross, they'll actually put a pressure on this and turn it, and this is what turns the rudder directly below that. So ain't no time like the present. Let me run over there and see if I can get me some string. Okay, the sound may sound different because I don't have the microphone and the adapter in. That's where the brake is. This is the other end. And what I'd almost toyed with was just unscrewing that screw, because I've got all this extra string here, and just feeding that back down there and tying it back together. Okay? However, I don't think there's enough room for it to, I don't think I can tie it together and still get this back up here where it goes. So I bought that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to skillfully feed it through that hole right there at grommet into the hole, reach in and grab it, splice it into this, and then the extra I'm going to feed where this is through that loop around there, and then tie it back in a cute little bow knot. So let me set this down and see if I can't get some of this accomplished. Okay, I put it back on the garbage can stand for the garbage can view. Hopefully the microphone is working. We'll see. Feed this in there. Drag it out here. And then what I'm going to do is just put like a loop knot. I don't know what it's called. But basically you just make a loop and flip it over in on top of itself. But what I'm trying to do is not make it too big. Because I don't know where the binding points are, if that makes sense. Okay, so there's the loop there. And I'm simply going to you stick one end. You take the loop and you stick the replacement string in, and then you run it around and stick it back in, and it turns into two loops tied together. It's incredibly strong. But what I'm going to do is tie a knot there, to make sure it doesn't slip. I thought about super gluing it, but then hold on a second. What I'll get is the old I thought I had Burn Baby Burn over here, but I'm not seeing it. Here's one, which probably doesn't work. So I'm going to melt this frayed part. It does work. And at least kind of put a nub on it so that there's a ball of melted material on the end of the string that it has to pull that through to get to the other part, to get to the other part, for the other part, for the other part. You know, the other part. And do the same here. Make sure I set my kayak on fire because, you know, that's how I roll. Ow! Pretty much fire where I'll go. I'm curious as to where this knot is going to wind up, on this side of that grommet or on that side. The last thing in the world I need is a binding point. If it's going to start binding right here so I can't turn the rudder freely, I'm going to have to tie it off down here so that more of this yellow string stays outside the hull. And then this would get pulled back here. And I'm going to just finger tighten them in place for now, since I don't know for sure that they went in the right, that the string's going to be in the right spot, the knot. Okay. So like I was concerned about, is it is for me to be comfortable, I need that knot to be about that much further down the string, because it's coming in right there. I'm not digging it. The last thing I need is a binding spot right there, and then you really have to refund the handles to get it to turn. It's no bueno. So let me retie this. Grab this sucker. Get a pair of scissors. Now I know some of you that got smaller hands, fingers. Not that mine are monstrosities in any way, shape, or form, but this is probably an easier. I think this might even be called a doctor's knot, where they just loop it and tie it. So that's there. And I really want it down here somewhere. Yep. I went in from the front and it made it a weird looking knot. So you got to definitely take it from the back. It would help if you fed it in from the front, like a normal person. Now I did that just so easily a minute ago. Oh, I'm sorry. You have to wrap it around and back in from the back. You go in through the front of the loop, wrap it around, and then come in from the back. And I was so worried about that. I'm not really happy with the length, so I'm going to shorten it some more. Should have just left it well enough alone. Mess around with it a couple times, you'll figure it out. Make this a little shorter. And then before I start tying knots and all the melting, being Mr. Pyrotechnic, I'm going to stuff this back in there and see if it's if you can do this without twisting the cables around and around and around, that would be a lot more helpful, because I'm sure if I do this a couple more times, I might have the strings twisted, and it's just going to be a cluster, you know what. Okay, so it's on there for now. Okay. All right, I'm happy with that. Checking to see how long the video is so far. It's 13 minutes of this. So what I'll do is you know what, I'm going to pause it here, get the knots burnt and tied together real good, and then I'll show you the tying it around the screw and the bow knot. Be right back. Okay, just kind of give you a close-up. That's where the string went through. Comes around the rudder pulley. Okay. This is the string that is busted here. So what I'm going to need to do is melt the end of that one. That right there, melt it, and run it around that pulley up to the backside, around that screw twice, and then a bow knot, and then slap it all together. So let me put this together. I'm sitting here trying to figure out what would be the best way to demonstrate that. I've got the pulley back in. That's the cable that drops and raises the rudder. And I've got it in the down position so I could test the steering. You know what? Let me do that. Let me tie this up before I put the cover back over it. I'll bring you back in, let you see it moving back and forth, and then see the rudder moving back and forth. And I'll explain some things that are done on the kayak. Okay, I popped in here again real quick. It's not tied up or anything. I was getting ready to say some very mean words and trying to get this up through that hole. So the simplest way is just take the piece of cording that you cut off, fold it in half, make a loop, stuff it down through the hole, put your new string in there, make sure you've got a firm hold of it, and voila. Okay. So it is now where it's supposed to be. Wrap it around this screw a couple times, tie it, get this centered, make sure the handles are centered, like giving an alignment. Make sure the rudder is straight ish. And I'll be right back in. Okay, we're going to call that a fix. I hope this damn thing is recording. I got a green light on the microphone. Now I'm gun shy. Got a green light on the microphone, a red light on the adapter that plugs into the lightning port on the iPhone. So, anywho, a couple of things that I wanted to point out that would be handy should you decide that you want to deck your kayak out similar to this. I'm not saying that you should or that you should not. The first thing is that on a standard PA14, it's the zigzag. I'm going zigzag. Zigzag elastic cording. Okay, that would go into here and there and here. Okay, I took those zigzags and the eyelets off. I think that's a standard eyelet right there. Okay, and that's a standard eyelet. But I took the standard eyelets out simply because in this case I've got the bazooka tubes here and it's secured there. Not that you really need to secure it, but you know what I'm saying. Those are wedged in there like you wouldn't believe. And they're also secured to this eyelet here. Okay. The Hobie box crate is secured in all 4 points with, I believe it came with the strap kit. Okay, so you get the crate and then you have to buy the cover. You may or may not have to buy the strap kit. I'm not for sure. Okay, and then I put an extra rod holder on each side so that if I need to move it back away from this edge, like I've got something right up against the seat or something that I want to be able to access, and like most of the time my life jacket's in here. Okay, full disclosure, I very rarely wear my life jacket because I'm very rarely in anything of water that I can't stand up in. Seems to be where the fish is. A couple of things of note: when you assemble this crate, it comes in a flat box. You have to assemble a crate. Make sure that you've got these in there correctly so that they can go down and cross into that holder. Okay, so you can lock your fishing pole in place so that it go flipping out if you toss this sucker in the surf. Okay, or you get flipped in a wake. Some of the things that I've added: I added the anchor rope to this side. I probably would, if it was me, I would add it to the other side as well. There's spots for it right here for the eyelets, and up here. So I added that. I added this set of rails right here, both sides there, and you can see they're curved with the body of the kayak. What they are another set of PA14 rails that I cut down and matched to this side and got, you can buy these anywhere, you know, Hobie, and through bolted into the hole, all four of these, okay, for additional, more than anything is I believe that the easiest way to get back on the sucker if you fell out of it would be off the tail. And you've got a grab point here, you've got a grab point here, there. Plus if I, landed Moby Dick or whatever, I could tie it off back here. Plus it just looks badassery. It also gives me an ability to mount the stand-up, the sissy bar there, the stand-up assist, back here over the seat, like Dukes of Hazzard roll bar. Actually, if you wanted to go night fishing or with a spotlight, that would be a perfect spot for that to be, is up over the top of your head with lights shining over your head onto the water so you don't have to worry about them. I also mounted these here, and those are through bolted into the hole. You have to take this assembly off. You have to take that out, the rod tubes and all that stuff, so you can get in there and put a bolt and a big poly. I use round solid nylon rod with a nut on the bottom of it, so it would conform to the shape of this injection molded right here. So it's nothing flat pushing against the sides here. I didn't want it to crack the hole reefing down on it. And it's got these sliding points so that your fish bag you can tie it off on this. Okay, I put the crossbar there. These are from an Outback. The Hobie Outbacks have got these stock in the cockpit next to the seat, but in the back there, they're a bungee cord, and you can buy these as a replacement for the bungee cord. And all I did is I bought that set as a replacement, and then I bought some end pieces and then just mounted them up here. And this is just a 21-inch piece of H-rail with the end pieces on there, mounted it there. I like the fish finder up there. It's not in my way, contrary to what everybody seems to believe. Yeah, so a couple of things that are going to happen is I'm going to put green lights here, pointing kind of downish, okay? There, 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 and either a set of white lights to the rear like that and here, but on both sides so that I can shine green light into the water for night fishing. Just the marker lights and to attract fish. Do the same thing over here, and for sure white lights up here, LEDs, so that when I'm coming up on a bank or whatever I can see it, and like headlights on here. I may even do, I think they're 6mm, something like that, and just drill right in there, run the wires down in, and run it on a panel. So those are coming, and I've been talking about doing that since Christ was a corporal, and that's a long time. So anyways, that's the news, weather, and sports on the repair to the Outback, or to the ProAngler 14, and the stands work great. Now I'm going to get the trailer hook back up to the car, push it in here first, and get it all lined up, and shove the sucker back onto the trailer and put it back in storage till the next fishing episode. Also, I'll be tossing those up on there and strapping them down. And the bicycle rack, which is here. It's a 2-place bicycle rack. You can actually mount that, anywhere up and down that rail. And yeah, I'm gonna call this one done. Do me a favor, if hold on a second. I do appreciate you sticking it out through that whole thing. Truth be told, you could do that on the beach if you had a screwdriver and some string. I don't know if that's something that you would do. Oddly enough, inside this bag, the Hobie crate, I do have a rescue rope, that you throw at somebody and pull them in, to rescue them. I also have a drift chute in there. And I was going to use that to have the current pull me back in, except for the current was going against me, so that wouldn't have worked real well. And you hook it to the anchor deal here. You just clip it in one of these things and run it all the way forward, and use the drift chute to have the current pull you along. The other thing that I think I've got to do, as much as I've always been firmly against it, is I'm probably going to remove the tubes for the fishing poles. Either that, or I've got to do something. I flipped this sucker in the surf the other day to get the wheels out. For whatever reason, they were jammed in there real well. And took on a whole bunch of water. And when I flipped it upright, some of it went out here, some of it went out there. But some of it went down those tubes, and it's down in the nose of the inside there. So, not real happy with that. And every time I pressure wash this thing. So, yeah. Thanks for watching. If you think about it, give me a like, give me a subscribe, and if you didn't like it, hit dislike twice. Have a great day.